So we're flying down from Bangkok now to Krabi town. Bit confusing at the airport, but yeah, we worked it out in the end. So we arrived at Krabi town later on in the morning, and first impressions, it's quite nicely laid out. There's a nice big boardwalk. We were staying back right onto this, so we just had to walk out onto it every morning and we could walk through and up to town. Had a really nice crab monument type thing here, it was very well done. First impressions, this town is actually quite relaxing. No beach though, unfortunately. So the next day we went to have a look at the local temple. It's sort of like in the middle of town and up a hill. It's very nicely laid out. The staircase was quite impressive. They had these, I presume they're dragons, all the way up to the top. They were really quite well done. Unfortunately, when we got up to the top, the temple wasn't actually accessible, so I don't know what was in there to look at. But there were prayer wheels and the gong and a few other things around the top here that were worth having a look at. There was a bit of history as well on the thing, and there was actually a reasonable sort of view of the town. Worth visiting? Well, it's up to you. It's the dragons were worth it, I suppose. If it had been open, we could see what was in there. It may have been even more worthwhile. Anyway, we had a quick look around that and made our way back to town and just explored around a bit more, looking for food options. There's a place we did get food to start with. Again, it was actually Indian and not Thai. So we're doing the mangrove cave trip today, just for something to do at Krabi before we move on to Nang Beach tomorrow, where we're going to actually be a bit lazy and lay out in the sun. But there's some nice looking crusts and mountains coming up, and I don't know what that is up on the hill, but a monastery or something. But it's nice and relaxing. 500 baht, which is about 25 New Zealand for the two of us, so that's not too bad. So we've come to the cave now. I can't pronounce that. It's a little short walkway from a dock that we landed at, and through the mangroves that are on the side here, and the cliffs all up the side. Quite an intricate staircase going up. And later often we found out that just down there to the right, there was actually a skeleton that they had uncovered that was quite ancient. But unfortunately I didn't get anything on that, so I can't recall what it was all about now. The cave itself is not large, but it's fairly interesting. A bit dark when you come up into it, but once you get down here the roof is open, so there's quite a lot of natural light coming in. There was also some quite nice stalactites and stalagmites in here that were worth looking at. So they were worth a look. Then you carry on down, and I don't know why they put a bridge thing here, but anyway, we'll get onto this bridge down here. And then you come to where there is this so-called giant skeleton with a snake surrounding it. Now my understanding of this, that it's actually an artwork that was done by somebody, and they left it here just for display. But you'll see quite a lot of YouTube videos on things about giant found in Thailand. So yeah, believe what you want. Down, it sort of circled down and around and back then, and there was a bit of information here on the Japanese who apparently used the cave to shelter in during the war. So that was reasonably interesting. And then there was stuff on what else they found in here, like that jawbone thing was presumably from a Neanderthal that they presumed these ancient human beings also lived here. So the cave was actually used for quite a few things. Back on the boat again, and we're going up another estuary part. There was a few tourist yachts parked up here, and then all these other floating homes, which I can only presume are like fish farms for the Thai population and that. I wasn't sure how far we were going here. It seemed like we went quite a way up before we actually entered the mangrove, so I was losing a bit of track of where we actually were. But I presume on the right there was the island just across from Krabi town. Anyway, we finally got to the channel that the boat goes through the mangroves for you to have a closer look. Again, it's just mangroves. I guess it's fairly interesting. It wasn't overly fantastic, but it was part of the tour, so we just accepted it. Initially thought the guy was having a hard time even manoeuvring through here with some of the corners. But eventually we did pop out the other side, and I think we were facing an island that is across from Krabi town. And I didn't know there were so many people lived here. There was even a big dock and a floating and a restaurant. So we didn't get to explore that unfortunately anymore. Could have been an interesting place to go, unsure. Anyway, finish off with some dinner, and then we were off to Anang.